everyone, and welcome to Open Mic Gripe with myself, Jeffrey Ide,
and Jay Rice.
The place where serious and silly complaints come to chat.
Open Mic Gripe is a weekly podcast dedicated to hearing your gripes, grievances, and opinions on any and all topics.
Every episode, Jay and I will have an opportunity to get to the bottom of the issues which are lingering on the back of your mind and engage you in order to create constructive conversation using a combination of lighthearted comedy and well-formed logic.
If you feel like we are wrong, inappropriate, or biased, and let's be honest, likely you will, then call in, email, or tweet and let your voice be heard. You can email us at openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweet us at openmicgripe. And both of those are one word, Open Mic Gripe.
Personally, I love being corrected, but I want to impress that we can only learn by sharing our and your perspectives.
You know, as a comedian, I want everyone to feel open to sharing their views and then potentially having them ridiculed.
On this show, I will always respect the individuals who share with us, but your views, beliefs, and values are all up for debate. I hold nothing sacred.
I also hold nothing sacred. I may not even respect you, but I do like you.
So jump on in and gripe on the open mic with Jay Rice and Jeffrey Ide. Welcome back, everybody, to Open Mic Gripe with myself, Jeffrey, and
Jay Rice.
And, of course, my friend Jay Rice, the place where serious and silly complaints come to chat. How you doing?
Doing all right. About yourself?
I got a couple gripes today.
Oh, man. Yeah, actually, today's kind of an interesting day. Because we got kind of a little bit of a hodgepodge episode.
I'd like to call this the compilation. We had originally thrown out on Facebook a question, you know, kind of what drives you crazy? What kind of gripes can you come up with?
Well, and the thing was, is that, like, we really didn't have, as we didn't release a lot of these episodes, like, right away. And so really I wanted to get some way to get some feedback, or some gripes. I guess not feedback, really. It would just be gripes that people have. And I wanted to see how willing people were to gripe about something. So this actually just went out to my friends. And I'm not going to say any names or anything, but what I said was, please help me out with some research I'm doing. Tell me what's bothering you. That simple.
Yeah, actually, I like the way you phrased it, because I'm pretty sure that they have no clue that their gripes are going to be on the podcast.
No, they did not. I was purposely not mentioning the podcast.
That's pretty good. And that way we got a lot of serious and sincere ideas.
Yeah, and some silly, of course, too. And I'm actually really lucky because one of my complaints, actually, about Facebook is a lot of times when you create a post, and sometimes when you create a post about something serious, especially since I'm friends with a lot of comics, they can be real assholes. And sometimes they'll just really take over your post and talk about such inane crap that had nothing to do with what you posted.
Right.
So I was actually really happy that these actually stayed on topic. I was really impressed, actually, with my Facebook friends. And the fact that actually not a lot of my comic friends even chimed in. A few did, but
I'm just impressed that you think your friends are a bunch of assholes.
Wow. Have you not met my friends?
They're certainly comedians.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they can be. A lot of comedians are definitely very self-involved and think their voice is the most important. I mean, not like podcasters. Not like podcasters.
We have a podcast. I think. No, it's
well, because our voice is more important, obviously.
Well, it's just better.
But you know what? Again, this is a people's podcast. Again, I really should have checked to see if there is something called the People's
Podcast. Yeah, we should actually check.
Okay, if I keep talking about the People's
not
Podcast.
Copyrighted, the People's Podcast. So how do you want to tackle this? How do you want to go down this list?
I don't know. How about I just start reading through some of this, and we'll just see where it takes us. So should we read all of the comments, even whether they're kind of weird or not?
Yeah, you know, I think it's this way we can have a flow to it, get an idea of how. But also, as we're going along, I'm already thinking of crap that I want to gripe about.
All right. Yeah, I mean, this is the time. If we're going to get off topic, this is a great point, because then I'll just bring us back into the next point of that we were going through.
If we hit a dead end, we'll go back to the next comment.
You know, I see a place that we're going to kind of probably see a point where we're going to get off topic, or at least talk about this gripe into some more depth. But let me just begin. So again, I said, please help me out with some research I'm doing. Tell me what's bothering you.
Yeah.
And first, let me just say, I only got 2 likes for this. But I had like 73 comments, so I was impressed. Although people didn't necessarily like
Is that how you gauge happiness in life?
I don't. I am very lucky that I don't gauge my happiness through my likes. I do have friends that one of my really good friends actually gets severely depressed when he doesn't get likes. And they've actually even done studies on kids and how Facebook is leading to depression because they're not getting as many likes as they want.
Well, also it's just the way people represent themselves.
And it's devaluing people. I mean, to themselves. If they don't get enough likes, they don't feel valued, which this does not pertain to me. I have a very strong sense of denial and narcissism, and it keeps me very, very happy.
Jay knows this, but I have always been a skeptic of social media, and I was apprehensively pulled into it. The reality is, for most of the existence of social media, I never used it. Last year, I've created a profile for organizing social activities, and along the way, I get kind of frustrated by the way people communicate online because it's the way that they want to be perceived, and not the way that they are. So,
well, for some people put too much on Facebook.
Yeah.
And social media. Some people put everything out there, and you're just like, hey, scale it back a bit. You are crazy.
But I like it how we started this as using Facebook to find rants and gripes, and now we're just ranting about Facebook.
Well, let me rant about Facebook for one thing, because I'm with you. Although I am an early adopter of a lot of technology. I am not a huge fan. I was never a huge fan of like Facebook and MySpace and whatnot. That might help date me a little bit that I was on MySpace.
Yeah, he found it using Lycos.com. It was a link from his GeoCities page.
Nice. But here's the thing: is I had a friend who really talked me into using Facebook, and I used to live out in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and this was one of my good friends from out there. And a few months would go by, and I would realize that after I moved away, I realized I hadn't talked to him. I would call him up on the telephone, not text him. I would call him up on the telephone.
On the telephone? You mean Skype?
No, I mean on the
Google Hangouts?
Oh, how do I explain this? It has a crank, and it has you hold one thing to your ear, and
yeah, I'm with you here 100%. I prefer talking to people. We're extroverts, though, and that's the thing.
No, don't you ever call me that. Everybody thinks I'm an extrovert. I am an introvert.
We'll let the audience decide.
I am an introvert, and I can very easily masquerade as an extrovert. And people don't understand that about me, is that, like, I can talk to these people. I can talk to, like, I'm a public speaker, but you put me one-on-one, I'm sorry. I don't have much to say. I'm not big on small talk. I'm not good at it. I can't introduce myself one-on-one, but I could introduce myself to an entire crowd of people.
Okay. Well, I honestly think that just makes you a horrible communicator, but an extrovert.
No, I'm not. It's not. I don't. You're a schmoozer. You're a schmoozer, and you're a bullshitter, a bull crapper. I don't know. No, this is a podcast. We don't need to edit that out. But I'm not. And even when we go to conventions together and whatnot, I don't have that mentality. I would rather sit where it's me, like somebody I know. And I don't like introducing myself to new people.
I just prefer talking about space sex with strangers.
Okay, here's the thing about Jeffrey. He cannot go 5 seconds without saying... I mean, he cannot deal with silence. That's one reason why he's actually really good with being on a podcast, is because we can't have dead air with him. If we would just sit... I would love to test it sometime, because if we would sit with, like, just 10 seconds of silence, all of a sudden Jeffrey is just going to say whatever is on his mind, and it's usually just the most asinine thing, because it's whatever is on his mind. He just cannot handle silence. At all.
It's certainly a personal struggle. Anyway,
and it's a personal struggle to kind of deal with the fact that you can't deal with silence.
I'm gonna start with a gripe.
Okay.
And I've got a gripe. I really can't stand mouth breathers.
Okay.
You know, if you're living in the 21st century with Okay, now you're just breathing through your mouth. I'm talking about people. Mouth breathers is a lifestyle.
Well, okay, you might need to explain this a little bit then. What do you mean a mouth breather?
Like someone who, we're living in the 21st, everyone has mirrors. Everyone has cameras that can refocus on their face. And if you don't know that you're walking around with your mouth open and not breathing through your nose, then you're just completely oblivious.
So you don't care if it's audible or not? You just hate the fact that people breathe through their mouths?
I feel like deliverance is about to happen every time I meet a mouth breather. There's just something about them that says, I have never contemplated how I look in public.
Wow. All right, man. You gripe away, I guess. I always thought that when people hated mouth breathers, that it's an audible thing that people don't like when they can audibly hear somebody breathing through their mouths.
Well, it's just this general idea that they're not aware of how they're perceived. And that drives me crazy. It means that they don't give a crap about what people view about them. And that means, of course, when someone's eating with their mouth open, and how do you not realize that I don't want to hear your food?
Well, everybody's different. Maybe they have a jaw problem, and they have to chew with their mouth open. How are you not? You should be more tolerant of people that have to breathe through their mouths. Maybe they don't have nasal cavities. You ever thought about that, Jeffrey?
They don't have nasal cavities.
Maybe they don't have nasal cavities.
They were born without a nasal cavity.
Could happen.
That would be pretty awesome.
Well, no. Why would that be awesome? You hate mouth breathers.
No, I'm just saying, I can't imagine someone's face without a nose. That's just a weird thing.
I'm not saying they were born without a nose. I'm just saying that they have nostrils that go up to nothing.
Storage?
Then they could store little things up there. Like, I can put a quarter up my nose.
Put a dime bag up there.
They're not going to check your nose?
Well, but if you're not using it...
I don't know how big a dime bag is, but I just said I could fit a quarter up my nose, and I could fit a couple quarters up my nose. I probably could fit a dime bag. I'm not even sure how big that is. I don't know. I could fit an OZ up my nose, maybe. I don't know. I've got big nostrils.
On that note.
Okay. All right,
let's get started.
So let's read some of these things. So again, just to remind you, since we went way off topic, but this is a great episode to do that. I said, please help me out with some research I'm doing. So again, they don't know they're going to be on a podcast, but we're not going to say names. Tell me what's bothering you.
Can I read the first one?
Go ahead.
Because this is obviously somebody just thought they're being funny.
Yeah, it's a comic.
Also, the just prolific use of...
I hate it.
Ha-ha-has, JKs, and lol-lol-lols. Okay. Yeah. Me not being dead yet. Ha-ha-ha, JK, lol-lol-lol.
Well, what you have to realize about this guy, too, is that this is kind of his comedy. I mean, It's all very, like, him talking about, like, killing himself a lot. But I think, of course, on social media, I'm sure he wanted to just point out, like, hey, I'm not going to do it yet.
Oh my god.
That's really the way I see this guy. I think if this guy could get an audience to kill themselves at the end of his set, that would be the best set of his life.
Well, it's a one-time show. Right.
Well, maybe not for him, but if his entire audience would kill himself, then he'd probably kill himself. So, I mean, he'd really like to Charlie Manson this.
Holy crap.
I mean, yeah, he's a good comic, though.
Well, that actually lets me understand that comic a little bit more. I was going to make fun of someone for thinking that it's bothering them that they're not dead, which is the lie. What an existential crisis.
It probably really, honestly though, if you knew this guy, it probably really does bother him that he's not dead.
You
know, I mean, this guy's got some issues.
Not going to be a guest on the show.
I think he absolutely is going to be a guest on the show if he doesn't kill himself before we get to that point.
We don't need that kind of publicity.
Hey, I'm for any kind of publicity.
Okay. What was the next comment?
Okay, and then somebody was like, "Are you suddenly Dr. Phil?" And just so, of course, to kind of put this in order, then I said, "Would me being Dr. Phil bother you?" Because again, like I said, I don't want people to get off topic. And she said, "Would you like it to bother me?" And
yeah. You guys are just trying
And
to...
I'm just saying, and this is what I said on there. I said, well, I honestly want to know what is bothering people, stuff that upsets them on a regular basis.
So this was just getting into it, and I can see that people didn't really grasp what you were asking at first.
Right, and it's Facebook, and so it's easy to get off topic. And then luckily from there on, it kind of actually gets into either just somebody saying something and a little bit of back and forth. Before I really got... also, in particular, is one person put the inability to focus on a paper I'm writing. Okay, you know.
You can start by getting off of Facebook.
Yeah, that would probably help. And then when I said the thing on a regular basis, he's like, oh, on a regular basis, I thought you meant right now and not consistently. And then he said, I was like, I don't care how, he said, then I would say people who lack the ability to communicate what they really want to know, i.e. you.
Yeah, that is true. It's kind of vague.
And I just said, I was trying to start generically, but I guess more focus was needed. And big surprise, a little bit more focus was needed for people on Facebook.
Well, one of the first comments that I really appreciated was someone who we both know, wrote...
And right before you say that, just so kind of, because this is kind of getting into it, somebody also said, kind of going on the Dr. Phil thing, he said, we're getting dangerously close to how does that make you feel territory.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to point out again, I don't care how people feel. I mean, really, I don't. I don't care how people feel unless it's anger, at least for this thread. I want to know what makes people angry, what irks them, what gripes they have.
Right.
And this is kind of where it then finally takes off.
I don't know. I always... I have to poke and prod when I hear people who don't like the feels. They don't like talking about how they're feeling.
Yeah, well, it's pretty North Dakota to not talk about your feels.
Yeah,
it's pretty man thing too. I mean, at least in historically.
I love working with this concept of redefining masculinity, getting over this bias that men can't express themselves and how they feel about things. It's kind of annoying.
You tell me you love me all the time.
I do. I tell everyone I love them. I'd like to desensitize this word as well.
See, I don't want to desensitize the word love. I am very particular with the way I use that.
Well, I hope everyone knows that I don't sincerely love anyone or anything. It's just I love everything.
You don't love anything. You just love everything.
Yeah.
You don't have more or less love for some things?
No, not really. I mean...
Well, then that makes me feel nothing when you say you love me because you also love this table.
You're getting
just
to the
as
point.
much.
You're getting to the point there. I also I mean, when you say something in public, when you two guys say like, "Hey, I love you, man," it's a little bit of hesitation, and then the next time you hear it, you're like, it's Jeffrey.
Yeah, I mean, so you're putting, so kind of like the way you talk about masturbation is the same way you want to talk about love.
Yeah, these are things that we should be swallowing on a daily basis.
Okay, so if you love everything, I don't get it. Like, what? Then I guess I don't really like the idea of desensitizing that word.
I don't. Okay, here's a gripe. People who think they know what love is. You know, if you think that you know love, wait a few years or a little bit longer, and you realize the immaturity of the feelings you experience.
Okay, I should probably point out that Jeffrey has no kids.
Yes.
And in fact, he will never have kids.
Nope, got the snip. Best decision of my life.
So again, I wish somebody could call in right now because we would have mothers so upset at you that are like, of course they know what love is.
Yes, because the irrationality of a mother to protect her offspring is love. No, that's genetic conditioning right there. So bring it on, moms. Because I know my mom is going to call in personally herself and chew me out for this. But you know what I'd say? That's your job.
Right, and you would say, I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom, the same the way that I love my computer.
Well, I mean...
Or masturbation.
That's kind of creepy.
Well, you're the one who puts love in the same... You're the one who puts love in the same thing.
I think that the colloquial use of love covers such a broad range of feelings, emotions, and chemical states of being that it's unfair to categorize love for one's mother or love for one's son or daughter and love that you have for a type of food or a system of infatuation or a love you feel for a spouse.
So in other words, what you're saying is that it's already basically desensitized anyways, that it doesn't mean anything more. So your goal has been completed.
Already. Game over.
Good job. Well done, Jeffrey. But here, let's. I know you want to talk about this one because
Yeah.
one of the first gripes, and I wasn't sure if they meant this kind of as a joke, but they just put.
I don't think so.
Probably not. Again, these are people that I do know.
This is a good feminist friend of ours. I want to put that out there. I am a feminist. Jay, I don't want to speak for you, but you.
I've said I'm a feminist.
Okay,
before.
so we're both feminists,
Regardless of what you hear when I talk about my comedy.
right? And most importantly, feminist is not someone who thinks that women should be better than men, but it's desiring equality by helping those who have a bias against them. So this is someone who we both know as a feminist, and she wrote most men.
Most men.
And this is, I love this because I think it's getting to this jaded nature that a lot of people feel about privilege.
Oh yeah, we both are big on privilege.
Yep, I mean, I am a cisgendered white male. I've got like every privilege token in the bag.
Yeah, I think we've. This might have been on the pilot episode. I'm not sure, but we actually did talk about how we are a straight white. Or I don't know about you, but I'm the straight white man. So I've got all the privileges except for one, being an atheist. I don't have the Christian privilege.
Well, and that also is just geography at that point.
Right.
Yeah. So I really appreciate this comment when she says most men because. Does she really just like...
Oh, what a man-hater.
Yeah, right?
What a man-hater.
She certainly won't get any negative feedback on that one.
And actually, I'm surprised. Actually, nobody really did say anything bad about that, but...
Okay. And the same person, just a little bit lower down, said, what bothers me most of the time is the lack of respect for my time. Right,
And I really wanted to know with that one, I was like, how do people not respect your time? And luckily she did answer. She's like, Jay, not telling me they will be late, not giving me a heads up when things come up, knowing that I'm doing things for them and not letting me know that these things do not need to be done anymore.
Oh, I absolutely love this gripe.
I know. I'm pretty sure almost anybody that has worked in an office can easily relate to this. I mean, how many times somebody's started working on a project and then something changes.
Yeah.
And then nobody has the decency to worry about your time and say, hey, you don't need to be wasting your time on that anymore.
Yeah.
You'll move on to something else.
We have technology today that makes constant communication almost a little bit redundant because we can always check up on each other no matter what. And it's created such a culture which for me is a little bit infuriating because Jay, you're a very punctual person. I would like to, more or less.
More or less. Within 5 minutes. I'm usually about 5 minutes late, but yeah.
I can't arrive on time. I have to be early, always.
Right.
That's just my thing. And if I'm going to be on time or even a little bit late, I will always let someone know. So of course I also share this gripe because it does show disrespect for one's time.
Oh, actually one of my former friends, one of the biggest gripes that I had with him was, and then lying about it. That I think that was a big thing is that he didn't value my time. And then when I would call him up and say, "Hey, where are you at?" He'd be like, he's like, "I'm in the car right now." And I'd give a little listen. I'm like, I can hear the TV on in the background. I'm like, that would make me so angry because not only are you not valuing my time, but you are not valuing our friendship because you're lying to me.
Well, maybe it was like GPS.
No, it wasn't. And there's a reason why we're not really good friends anymore.
Yeah.
It's because he really did not value my time at all.
No, and I can appreciate that. It's interesting when you talk about letting people know. I have this thing where if I get a text message, I feel this impending need to respond immediately.
See, I don't.
And so if I get a message and I'm not able to respond right now, I'm actually just going to say, hey, I'm doing something right now, but I'll text you later.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't get back with those texts, though. There's been plenty of times you don't respond to my texts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. It might have been under the
feel horrible.
Of alcohol.
Yeah, you should feel horrible, man.
Yeah, no, that is true. It sometimes happens. I do forget. But I think it's just this desire to not keep people waiting. I hate that idea, keeping people waiting.
That makes sense, and I agree with that. You know, there definitely are some themes that you'll see kind of come through in this thread. One of the big ones is is like when you said mouth breathers, that
Yeah.
is going to come up. But there is a lot of things with like noises. One person put gum chompers, lip smacking eaters,
Ugh.
basically the sound of people eating. And then right under that, somebody put mouth breathers, especially on the phone.
Somebody did write mouth breathers
Yeah.
in here. Okay. Yeah, no, mouth breathers. Ugh, horrible people.
But I like this because I actually have a friend, and she has misophonia. Misophonia, which is a severe, like, that sounds severely bother them. Like, more than just an average person, that it really can drive them mad. And
Don't
you know,
we all have misophonia?
there's actually a great episode on Good Mythical Morning where they kind of cover some of these misophonia things, and it was great because I was watching that episode with her, and everything was driving her nuts. And so then what was great is that actually seeing which ones drove her the most nuts, then I could do them like this thing with that I can do with my mouth.
Oh, that's a horrible one. Don't forget the good old.
That just sounds gross.
No, I agree with the gum chomping, lip smacking.
I know.
Horrible.
A lot of people do hate that. And
Well, why does it continue? Why do people do it? And when you pointed out, they don't understand why it would bother people.
well, I don't know. I might start eating with my mouth open just for you.
Wonderful. See what you started.
I know. Another thing that people talked about a lot was, of course, as we've already griped about a little bit, was Facebook. There's a lot of comments, and this is one of the ones coming along. It said, people who post shit like this, what a bitch, you know who you are. And then she's like, pointless and dumb. Or, quotes, heading to the hospital, say a prayer for me.
Yeah, a prayer.
Yeah, but I think we some people know that saying a prayer for somebody would also be pointless, because saying a prayer for somebody doesn't help the person that needs a prayer. It just helps the person that wants to feel like they're doing something, but they're actually not.
One of my favorite Ricky Gervais posts was when the tornado hit through. I think it was in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yep.
Was it? Yeah, and people.
Or it was probably like 2 years ago.
Was
or
it 2
so.
years? Yeah. All the celebrities out there were saying, "I'll send my prayers to you."
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais said, "Oh shit, I feel like a horrible person. All I was doing is sending money and aid."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
But I really like what somebody put underneath that, and they're like pointed up to that post, and they're like, AKA attention seekers.
Yep.
I mean, that's what.
Well, at the core of it, people who pray like actively think that they're getting a favor from a deity in order to solve a problem in their life actually thinks that they're important enough to be the subject of a deity's attention.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, which is kind of ridiculous. But even let's just go simpler with the people that just put these very innocuous posts on Facebook that they just want people to respond. It's like, like, what a bitch, you know who you are. And it's just like, oh, people want to be, or kind of when people say something, just, well, I hate when that happens.
or who try to minimize the desire. Oh, like, it'll get better.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, people want them to reach out. Oh, what's going on? Oh, sad you, poor you.
Okay, I'm interjecting with another gripe of mine.
Big surprise.
That's the whole damn point of the show. Clickbait on the internet is annoying enough. I have recently found a lot of printed clickbait is starting to appear. And I found one yesterday. It said, why aren't you joining the cool crowd? I opened it up and it was a Watchtower pamphlet from the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're now using clickbait in printed form.
Interesting. Hey, all right, well, this could be a different gripe, but this is completely off topic. But you know how I have a sign on my door that basically it's just like a guy holding a Bible and somebody holding a cross or whatever, and it has like the circle slash through it?
Yeah.
I all of a sudden my dogs went crazy, and so I knew somebody was up at the door, and I went up there, and as I got to the door, I saw somebody run around the side of my garage.
What?
Yeah, and I was like, did I just get ding-dong ditched? I was trying to figure out what was going on, and so I kind of stood there for a second, and all of a sudden this girl peeks her head around the corner, and she can see me staring at her, so then she comes up to the door and is like very nervous, and she's just like, oh, well, we wanted to talk to you, but then we saw your sign and didn't think you were interested. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Whatever. It's okay. And she was just very nervous because I had that sign on my door. So instead, you ran away. I just thought that was very funny. Wow. I'm not going to gripe about it, but
yeah.
I just thought that was very interesting.
Quaint.
But this is one too. That she said, "This gets me too." So obviously, she had previously commented, and she says, "And I mean this in a bitchy way. I don't want to hear people bitch about weight if they're not doing or trying to do anything about it except make excuses. Get off your ass. Ha ha ha. Sorry, not sorry."
Nah. Okay, so I'm gonna gripe. I'm gonna gripe about this gripe.
Oh, you're gonna gripe about her gripe?
Yeah, I'm griping about her gripe.
Do you think her gripe is invalid?
In a way, yes, because the reason why people like me say things that I haven't yet done is so that my comments will eventually it'll hold me to it.
Okay.
So if I say I'm going to do something publicly, now I have the pressure from everyone around me who I've said it to actually go and do it. So I intentionally say things in order to promote myself.
Right, but I don't think that's what she's getting at. Because that's you trying to do something about it. You are putting that out there to say that if I tell people that I'm going to lose weight, and then that's going to get me more to do it. What she's saying is people that say, oh, I'm overweight, I don't like it, and then not doing anything about it except for make excuses.
I see. I suppose I interpreted that as like I should go to the gym.
No, if I understand this, she's basically saying people that just complain or bitch about it, but don't actually do anything about it.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Well,
and I could see that. I mean, the reason, although maybe we shouldn't complain about people bitching about something and not doing it, considering that's the whole basis of the show. Like I mentioned before, we're not here to solve problems. We're just here to gripe about them.
Well, also, here in the Midwest, there's this really strong idea of rugged individualism, as in everything who you are is because of your actions. And I also need to distance ourselves from that idea, because there are so many factors that go into who you are. So it might just be that there might be a genetic component to their lethargy. I tried. I really tried.
Okay. All right, good. And maybe we fall into this because we are doing a podcast because we think people should hear our voice. And so what one person put is entitled, selfish, ungrateful people. Actually, I wouldn't say we fall into that, really. Maybe entitled, but I would say we're not selfish or ungrateful.
I'm pretty selfish.
I'm narcissistic, which is not selfish.
I strongly desire to do things for other people because
it makes yourself feel good.
Yeah.
I know it's that idea of how there's no such thing as true altruism.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, most of the time people do something with some type of, even praying, like we were just mentioned, like even praying, it's to make themselves feel good.
I guess I'm not as selfish as people who pray.
Okay.
So I should put that out there.
Well, and they probably feel entitled, too, because they feel entitled to have the attention of a deity.
That is a huge entitlement. I don't have such a luxury like that.
I do not either. I'm lucky to get anybody to listen
on that note, gripe. People who think that praying for your sports team to win is not cheating.
Oh, my... Wait, what?
It's cheating if you get help from a god.
Right, but both sides are doing it.
So that's why nothing happens? Like God is helping both sides?
Yeah, yes, because if it was the Christians versus the atheists, you know dang well the Christians are going to win every time in a sports game.
Well, it's because atheists...
I know, I got Jeffrey speechless. Holy crap.
Yeah, well, I think that would be an interesting challenge.
I like... and of course, one thing, and we did mention this earlier, one person did put people who don't like my comments.
Yeah.
But I like the one after that even more, where somebody put their gripe, the thing that bothers them the most, the general public.
The general public, the nameless masses.
Just everybody.
Well, no, I can understand that, though. It's far too easy to find dissatisfaction with people in general.
Yes.
You put a name, you put a face to someone, and it's completely different.
We've actually talked about this a lot. Actually, when we met with some of our Muslim neighbors, that was one thing that we kind of talked about is how everybody has a lot of people, especially North Dakota and people where there might not be as many Muslim people, have a lot of times have never met a Muslim. And so then it's easy to fear or hate them because they've never put a name or a face to this very vast idea such as being a Muslim. And then as soon as you put like a name and a face to it, it's much harder to actually dislike or
to use bigotry of any kind.
Bigotry or be racist against this entire group.
And, on that note, we are animals who generalize. Generalizing is actually one of the great strengths of the human mind. It's the way we're able to filter massive amounts of data without going insane. And when it comes to the way we generalize, and I think this is coming back to the general public comment, I've lived in China. I met a number of people, but that number is very small compared to the number of people who exist. And so when I talk about China, obviously it's a hugely diverse area. It's full of diversity of people, ethno-linguistic backgrounds, etc., interests, hobbies. But at the end of the day, when I'm here sitting in the United States talking about China, I have to say the Chinese.
Right.
Because generalizing is just how we do it. And I don't care about most of them because I didn't meet them. That's what we do. That's who we are.
I really love Doug Stanhope talks about when he has a joke about how he talks about when people are like, you have to support the troops. You have to support the troops. And he's like, no, I don't. He's like, I've been around some troops. He said, well, some of them are assholes.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, if I met a guy and we have beers together, I support that troop.
Yes. A good friend of mine is a writer for the Boston Globe, and it was interesting hearing his war correspondence out of Iraq. And I think this is actually another great topic for another day, I think. But just talking about what makes soldiers heroes and why should it be automatic?
I completely disagree with everybody. Everybody is a hero now. Every cop is a hero. After 9/11, every cop is a hero. Every firefighter is a hero. Guess what? I have a buddy who's a firefighter. Hasn't done shit.
Hasn't done shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
He's a potential hero.
When they run into a burning building, okay, save somebody, you're a hero. If you wash a fire truck, you're not a hero. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I might get flocked for this, but I'm saying just because of that title.
Fire departments around the country, right in.
Give us a call.
Tweet
Open
us
Mic
at
Gripe.
Open Mic Gripe. J Rice.
Like we say in the intro.
R-I-C-E. Rice.
Crap. I should have changed my name. You know what? If my house gets set on fire. And nobody comes to save me, I'm gonna blame this podcast.
Yeah. All right. So what else do we have?
And
here?
of course we got some silly ones. Like one person put Xbox Live constantly going down while I'm playing Payday 2.
First world problems.
Most of them are going to be first world problems. People don't liking. I have all this food. First world problem.
Yeah.
By the way, that's one of my gripes. I can't stand it when people say that.
First world
problems. Because most of the time, it's just you're being a douche. You're just being a douche, and you're just pointing out that whatever I was talking about I shouldn't even be talking about it. Then get off my page.
It is nice to have a difference in perspective, and I think the first world problem comment really puts that into perspective. Like, it is a big deal in our lives.
And you know what? A lot of people that say first world problems haven't ever been to a third world.
Yeah, well, I have, so back off.
And I did say on here, and I'm like, and to be clear, I don't care if they, and this is a comment that I made, I said, and to be clear, I don't care if they are big or little complaints, serious or not so serious. I just need an idea of what bothers other people. Thank you, everyone, so far, and I would love it if others joined in, liked others' issues, etc. Okay,
the next comment on the list here is actually by a really horrible person who I dislike a lot. So this is going to be fun to read. This person said, and I want to really emphasize this, though. I'm gonna judge this comment independently.
You were even like, why is this person a friend of yours? Why do you have this person as a friend? Because I'm not you, Jeffrey. Just because I can have people on my page that you don't like.
That is true. That's why I just gotta put things.
I don't know why you're making this so personal. Well, actually, I
You
do
do
know
know
why
why.
you're making this so personal.
Well, this person said bad drivers. This person went on a rant. They said bad drivers, idiots in general, misogyny, institutionalized prejudice, ignorance, my shitty coffee maker. Yeah, there's a lot of comments you can follow up with that, but there's a lot of things to gripe about in general.
Okay, why don't you make a mention about institutionalized prejudice?
Yeah, I mean, I having previously worked in human rights development, institutionalized prejudice is a lot clearer to me than it is for most people. When you see a system that you're just used to, when you've become accustomed to dealing with something, you don't question it as much. And so, obviously, I see the institutionalized racism of the police forces here in the United States often,
Right.
but the people who are raised in a community where that racism is just the norm, such as attitudes towards minorities or attitudes towards minority belief systems or the way that the legal structure has been defined around the majority population. This is typically what you find as institutionalized racism or institutionalized prejudice.
So do you dislike institutionalized prejudice?
Prejudice is bad.
Oh, wow, you guys have something in common. Maybe you should start a friendship. All right. So then the next guy said, not much, man. Life is grand.
Yeah, I really like that. Thank you, this person.
And I like that somebody a little bit lower down says, this person, I'm not going to say their name, rubbing it in that his life is better than mine.
Well, okay, this drives me crazy. I'm a generally happy person. I find a lot of pleasure in so many of the little things in life as well as life in general. But I feel like you're not allowed to tell people you're happy.
I guess I can see that. I think what gets me is that it's really hard for me to write jokes, and the reason why is because I've lived a pretty privileged life, and so a lot of comedians talk about the bad things in their life, and when you don't have a lot of bad things happen to you, it's harder to make, because nobody wants to hear jokes about how I went out and ran. Or how I have a gorgeous girlfriend or anything like that. You know, nobody wants to hear about those kind of things.
I'm actually thinking this is a new form of comedy. It's like talking about how awesome your life is and how shitty everyone else is.
Well, and then because people come out to the comedy show, and if I said all that, they feel bad about themselves, and people don't come out to comedy shows to feel bad about themselves. They come out and they go, look at that guy, and then they're like, I'm overweight, and they're like, yeah, he's a piece of shit, ha ha ha,
Rodney Dangerfield.
Of dead words.
Yeah, no, I like the life is grand comment. But so the next comment was, the boogers in my head and chest are also bothering me. Today I spit out something hard and bloody. Spring is the best. What?
Well, some people have allergies.
Allergies do that? Okay.
Yes,
I have no
allergies do
allergies.
that.
I have no idea what that's like.
I don't have allergies either. Though, actually, strangely enough, the only thing that I'm allergic to, calamine lotion.
That's pretty specific.
Yeah, it's an anti-inflammatory, and I'm allergic to it. How does that make any sense?
Well, some people are allergic to antibiotics, or some people are allergic to sperm. Seriously. That's a thing.
Okay, and then the next comment was dental hygienist who poked too hard at your gums. I can see that.
I love that feeling. I don't understand how that's a gripe.
Oh my goodness. He's just saying that is because it's the same person that he doesn't like. So moving on.
I love that feeling. You get a little bit of pressure on your gums. Sure, it's a sensitive area, but a little bit of pain can be pleasurable.
I mean a little bit, I don't mind when I get a little bit of blood because I do feel like, my teeth are cleaner.
Yeah.
But I have had some dental hygienists that are way too rough, and I've also had some that aren't rough enough, that I don't feel like they're getting everything done that they
This
should.
message is going out to my own dental hygienist. I'm pretty sure you've been hitting on me every single time I sit in that chair. And I just want you to know that I've always been terrified of saying anything, largely because of the sharp objects you hold in my mouth. So if you ever feel like hanging out where you don't have sharp objects on my gums...
Are you just using this podcast to hook up with people now?
Just my dental hygienist.
I think somebody has a gripe about that for you. All right, and then the next person says schools.
What?
Very generally, just says schools.
Like schools shouldn't exist.
Just no explanation, just schools.
Schools, just get rid of them. Somebody asked, what kind of research is this for? It's a good question. We'll have to explain.
Well, yeah, at some point, but all I said was, that's not a complaint.
Yeah. Somebody said, I hate that I never know when comedy nights are.
Okay, now this was a jab at me because every week I send out an event and I send it out to all my friends. Like I said, I send it out to all my friends.
Stop complaining when I don't go to your comedy.
And by the way, actually, the next comment is also a dig on me as well because he said overeducated farmers.
Yeah, this is so weird. I've known Jay for a little while now, and I have to say, I can't see him as a farmer.
Well, I mean, not right now, but for most of my life, off and on, since 19 years old, I've had a mohawk. And so, trust me, yeah, a lot of people don't put those two things. When I go back to my tiny town, we're talking about 300 people, they do not see me as a farmer.
I think, yeah, if you're going to come up with a band, it would probably be like liberal grunge tractor riders.
Somebody start up a band of overeducated farmers and...
the overeducated farmer movement. Okay.
But then this guy that actually put that little dig on me about comedy nights, by the way, they are Wednesday nights at 10 o'clock. He said, traveling behind anyone who is moving with no sense of purpose, whether it's walking downtown or in a store or driving anywhere, let's use some dynamic movements that don't leave other people guessing what the hell you're doing.
You know what? Get off yourself with your directed movement, sir, because... I have, some of the best days of my life are just directionless, aimless days where you had no idea where you were going. You just were going.
Oh, no, but I just like that. But, I'm talking more like if you're out wandering in a field, I don't care because I can walk around you. This is my complaint as well. I work in an office, so there's constantly people that are walking down the hallways and they are just ambling. And I'm like, I have stuff I have to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're going to walk down the hall, move to one side. Actually, oh my goodness, that's another thing. People that don't get out of your way. I am constantly moving to the side.
Those are called mouth breathers.
It's always mouth breathers that don't move out of the way?
No, because they're not considering what other people think or feel. And if you're walking on the road and you're completely oblivious to the fact that there are people behind you who want to get past you.
No, I'm even talking people that are coming at me and they don't move to the side. Not even a little bit.
What about the dancers?
The dancers?
Yeah, the people who move to the side and to the side with you, and you keep trying to get around each other, but you keep jumping in the same direction.
Oh, well, that's just a thing. That's cute sometimes. I'm okay with that. I'm talking to people where I am walking forward, and I see them coming, so I move off to the side a little bit, and they don't move an inch. Because I'm like, that means that they feel so entitled that I have to move out of the way for them. So many times, I've never done it, so many times I want to just keep walking right at them, and then I feel like we would just continually, walk into each other. And we would just be walking, and nobody is moving, and we're just going to see who gives first.
Just going to start kissing or what?
No, I mean, I would move my head a little bit to the side.
You're playing chicken and you've just lost.
I don't know if that would be... we would both lose in that scenario, I suppose.
Yeah. So I'm going to skip through a couple of these here because there's quite a few we still have left to go. One person said here, rich people who describe themselves as middle class. I have to...
What about men who use the word patriarchy? You don't like that one?
Men who use the word patriarchy? Yeah, well, I mean... Wait. Are you saying that men cannot recognize the patriarchy?
I don't know. Well, we can skip past that one.
Yeah. There's another good one here. Any town that doesn't have a 24-hour restaurant.
I know that.
Holy crap. You cannot find any decent food in this town after 10 p.m.
How about in my little town, you can't find a restaurant?
Ever.
We don't have a restaurant. So he would really have a problem with my town.
Well, you probably have people who keep their doors open, so...
Well, that's true.
What do you need a restaurant for, man?
Just walk in and eat their food.
Bars that charge me for drinks. Those places are the worst.
Of course, a joke one.
Yeah.
Let's go. Actually, this one, I like this one because I actually made him clarify. He said, anyone over the age of 25 who still blames their parents for their problems.
Okay. And how did he clarify?
Well, okay. I knew what he meant by that, and that's just people that... okay, so I asked him, does that include everyone that still blames their parents, like children of abuse, etc.? Because I was really,
way to take the fun and lively nature of this conversation. Jeez.
Well, because I knew what he meant. People that are just lazy and unmotivated, and they're just like, "Oh, it's my parents' fault."
Yeah.
But I was really interested if he was actually talking about people that actually had that their parents really are to blame for some of their problems. And what he says is kind of. Intellectually, I get that something like that can be scarring, and I understand that I don't have to deal with it. On the other hand, continuing to focus on how you are wronged eventually becomes a bigger reason you are failing to succeed than the original wrong.
Okay, he seriously thought about this one.
Yeah, he's a pretty smart guy.
Well, I can tell that because he hates one of the other comments he posted on here. His gripe is Southern accents. That's how I trust if somebody is intelligent or not.
And combining that and Facebook, he says Facebook posts about guns. We get it. You like guns. How about no more than one a week? That's a fair compromise.
This is North Dakota. This is like one of those things you just kind of have to deal with. This person, clearly very intelligent, said people who concern themselves with the color of a dress when net neutrality goes wrong.
I hate this guy that posted this, by the way. I hate him with a passion.
Well, we agree to disagree then.
He is so pretentious.
Well, no, that's actually related to something I said in a previous episode, just talking about that color. Anyway, there's another one here that says people who think they own their kids.
Okay.
I really appreciate this one because honestly...
Because you wrote it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to our audience, Jeffrey.
I wrote that.
You wrote that one. Of course you like it. Did you like it yourself? Is that your like on there?
No, I can like it. I'm liking it right now.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
I just like my own comment. People who like their own kids. Yeah, you don't... I'm sorry. People who like their own kids...
I hate people who like their own kids.
No, people who think they own their own kids. You don't own your kid. You're temporarily in charge of raising that kid for the future of society for everyone. You do not own them. Anyway, a couple more here.
Oh my goodness, you guys! I just have to say that we are only halfway through this.
Holy crap!
You know what? Actually, let's save the second half of it. Maybe okay. Is there a good one that we can end on?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what?
I think so.
Hold on. Because this is a good way to wrap it up because it kind of brings it back to the very first comment.
Yeah.
And this is one of my gripes.
That's what I would have said.
It's when people say LOL instead of laughing.
Do they say LOL?
Yeah, they're like LOL. I actually had a friend who would
say LOL.
No, they say LOL.
No, they say LOL.
I don't. Are you just trying to make me angry? Because people don't actually say LOL.
They totally say LOL.
Okay, the people that I know say LOL.
Yeah, that's because it was, younger people than you say LOL.
No, this person is very young and they say LOL. She actually says JK LOL.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yes, I know. And so, of course, this ties back to the first point when somebody was like, that I'm not dead yet. Ha ha ha, JK, LOL. And this is one of my gripes, too, because I work in an office where, like, I'm close enough where I can hear people. And so we use Link. So I'll type back and forth between somebody, and sometimes they'll type back LOL. And I would just want to jump over my cube wall and be like, I can hear you. You didn't laugh out loud.
Yeah, that's I hate it.
It means laugh out loud.
I think I've said I've typed the word lol maybe half a dozen times in my life because every time what I had read was so funny that I actually laughed out loud.
I always just say ha 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 ha.
Yeah, but it's just as bad then because how many times do people write ha 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 and they're not actually laughing?
But I did laugh.
It's more like when I hear ha ha ha, what I'm actually thinking is there's a nervous or awkward moment where people have like.
But I actually a lot of times write as many ha's as to how many times I did laugh.
Okay.
Like that would have been 4 right there. That would have been 3. That would have been 8. I can do this all night, everybody.
I hope you're keeping count.
I was like 16.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I'm really excited.
In fact, I even said nailed it. One of mine right there.
Well, okay, so we've covered half of the gripes on this list, and there's easily enough for another episode of just random gripes.
Absolutely.
I really want to thank everybody who participated in this list. And,
you don't even, especially since you don't even know that you participated in it.
Right, I know. With the exception of that one person I really don't like, they can go screw themselves. But other than that, thank you so much.
Why don't we end on a much higher note than the fact that you really dislike this person? All I gotta say is, whoever put people who think they own their kids, what a jackass.
This tends to be true.
All right, everybody. That brings us to the end of another Open Mic Gripe. Thank you. And I want to thank everybody for joining us and listening to the Open Mic Gripe. Of course, this is a place where serious and silly complaints come to chat. Of course, today was a lot more silly.
Yes, feel free to continue to send your messages to Open Mic Gripe, so at the Open Mic Gripe at gmail.com, one word, or tweet us at Open Mic Gripe. We can't wait to hear everything you have to say. Want to hear your gripes? Next time we'll take all of those tweets and all of those emails and compile them into the next great compilation episode.
Everybody's got compilations. Why can't we call it a hodgepodge?
A hodgepodge?
Or something. Let's come up with something better. But instead of a compilation, I mean, maybe like the chorus of grapes.
Chorus of grapes.
Chorus of grapes, because there's so many different ones.
We'll say the fanny pack of grapes.
I'm telling you, the fanny pack,
the Bible fanny pack.
I'm always gonna do that. The Bible fanny pack of this area.
I've already used it a number of times.
Excellent.
And it's caught on. It's totally caught on.
Nice. It's taken off.
So this is Jeffrey Ide and
Jay Rice, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. And of course, if you didn't, check us out next week when we will be discussing your gripe.
Thank you so much, and have a good night.